Hi, I'm Claire Ridgway, and today I'm joined by author Laura Loney, Canadian Tudor enthusiast and author of Twas the Night Before Tudor Christmas, a story primer activity mashup with illustrator Kathryn Holeman, and the forthcoming In Praise of Tudor, 100 eccentric ideas to bring Tudor calm to modern chaos. We'll talk inspiration, collaboration, festive crafts, and practical Tudor-inspired swaps that you can try this very week. Let's dive in. Hi Laura, a huge welcome to Laura Loney, author of Twas the Night Before Tudor Christmas, to my YouTube channel and podcast. It's really, really lovely to have you here. Such an honour.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
That's okay. Can you start off by telling us, before we move on to your book, just a little bit about who you are? Who is Laura Loney, sort of your background and how you came about sort of writing?
Sure. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I'm a mom of two. I would say I was always the very shy kid. Shocker. And so in doing that, I always had a lot of ideas in my head. But I think creative writing and writing in general, and also the creative arts, really helped to express myself. So those have always been kind of near and dear to my heart my whole life. And I've always wanted to be a writer. Then I ended up going to university for history at the University of Toronto. And I also took semiotics and communication theory, which is the study of symbols and signs. It was a very interesting topic as well. And then I ended up getting a postgraduate degree in corporate communications and working at a cancer research institute, which is...
Wow, that's a bit of a diversion.
It is. What's funny is it really brought me back to creative writing because I needed an outlet from writing the very serious, heavy topics all the time. And so years ago, I decided to write a very creative novel on Anne Boleyn, which hasn't gone anywhere, but maybe one day. I started to do research on that, and I came across the Anne Boleyn files.
Yay!
And this was before smartphones and before laptops were there, but they weren't very common. So I used to print pages from your website and take them with me. And I'd read them on the train to work. And I remember even being pregnant and sitting in bed with some of the papers because I didn't want to put a laptop on my belly, and researching where the actual execution site of Anne Boleyn was, as one does when they're pregnant, right? So anyways, it's been coming in and out of my life a very long time. And then over the pandemic, I got back into Tudor history and writing. And I wrote a research paper with Ashley Risk, because as one does, you meet a stranger online and write a research paper. So that helped to kind of slingshot me back into this world.
So I was going to ask you, as a Canadian, what drew you across time and space, time in the ocean, to the Tudor period? So was it Anne Boleyn? Was it her in particular, or just Tudor history in general?
It was Anne Boleyn. I always find my way back to Anne somehow in life, but I wish I had a more glamorous story for this, but it was actually a children's magazine. When I was very young, I was reading it. I couldn't tell you the name of it now. I know it had Fred Savage on the cover, which is pretty funny. But it had a story about the ghosts, royal ghosts, and it had a story about Anne having 6 fingers, beheaded, always screaming around the Tower of London. And how does that not fascinate a child? So
yeah, and there is something about her, isn't there, that just reaches to us, I think. So many people are grabbed by Anne.
I think so. And I think it's her charisma too. And it's this not quite being able to put your finger on what it is about her and never quite getting a handle on who she was. So even though I'm in Canada, 500 years later, this emotional connection, I think, still try to figure out these people.
So you've got this Anne Boleyn novel that is still lurking in the background, and hopefully it'll see the light of day sometime. I'll have to give my husband a nudge with his publishing company about talking to you about that. But your first book, I can see it behind you, Twas the Night Before Tudor Christmas. What sparked that off? How did you come to write that?
So during the pandemic, another thing I did was I purchased a dollhouse. and it was really a fixer-upper. And I decided to turn it into a Tudor dollhouse. And I had a lot of fun with that. And I used to do peg, I don't know if people know what peg dolls are. They're the little wooden dolls, and they're painted. So I had a friend of mine who's an artist. She created Henry VIII and all the six wives. And so I decorated this dollhouse and really had fun researching too, to see what would look, authentic and whatnot. And then I would do peg comics. And this was something I just enjoyed doing to make people laugh during a very dark time. So I always had Henry VIII and all these funny jokes on the brain at all times. And again, not a glamorous story. I think I was doing the dishes, and I had "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" and all through the house. And right away, I started getting the Tudorized version, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'll do a comic with this. Okay, but it kept coming. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to jot this down. And it kept coming and kept coming. So it ended up, the storybook came quite easily. The rest of the book was harder.
And you obviously went into partnership with illustrator and artist Kathryn Holeman. So how did that partnership come about? Was that just a link online? Did you know her before it?
I knew Kathryn, not really, to be honest with you. I knew her from just following her on social media, and I'd seen her work, and I knew it was great. The odd thing about this was, after I finished writing it, and I didn't even know if I would do anything with the story, I just kept getting a feeling that Kathryn would illustrate this. It was so strong. Like, I don't know why, don't even know this lady, but she is going to illustrate this. And anyways, I think over a year passed, and then I reached out and was working with Tim with Make Global, and I had another illustrator, and she had to back out for health. She's wonderful too, but she had to back out for health reasons. And so I reached out to Kathryn, and it worked out so perfectly that she said if I had reached out earlier, it wouldn't have worked out because she had other commitments. So it was almost like it was meant to be honest.
Yeah, serendipity, definitely. Mm-hmm. And how did you go about dividing the sort of creative work? Did you give like Kathryn sort of drawings, mood boards, reference images, or descriptions? How on earth do you kind of get your ideas from your brain to somebody else's?
Right. So I really believe in trusting people's expertise. So Kathryn is, well, I call her, we brought it, like, she's a ringer, right? So she knows what she's doing. She's worked in publishing for years too. So she really understands how to bring her art to an audience and to make it engaging and interactive. So for the most part, I just let her do her thing. I think it's in the acknowledgments of the book where I thank Kathryn specifically. And I say, but the words are very true. I say, she took my words and gave them life. And that's very true. She really did. And there was a few instances where I had a very clear idea pop in that I was like, actually the cover. So I could see Henry and Anne in an arch with garland. And I did a really rough, very terrible looking sketch. Sent it to Kathryn. She made it beautiful. So it was just fun to work with her because she's really good. It's so refreshing when you work with someone you can just fully trust. Yeah. And you know they're going to make it better.
Oh. And you mentioned about how, it starts off with the kind of the story, the Tudorized version of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." So the book is part story, part Tudor Christmas primer, part craft and activity book. So how did you imagine families, teachers, individuals and groups using the book?
So I always had... no specific reason. I've always had an image in my head of a grandmother reading to a grandchild and being able to share. Because sometimes, in my family, I love Tudor history. It's not really common with anybody else in this house, but I would love to be able to read a story to my kids. And I thought, this would be nice. And then the recipes and the different activities, it's stuff you can do. You don't necessarily have to love Tudor history to be able to engage in it. And the other thing I heard was it's been helpful to some homeschoolers as well, which I thought was kind of good because I've been told by a friend of mine who homeschools, it can be very difficult to find content that's engaging for the children. And I really believe in fun learning. So I think if you bake on a topic and you do crafts on the topic, it's really going to sink in, as opposed to just reading in a book. It really brings it alive.
Yeah, sort of multi-sensory, working on lots of different levels. I think if you engage a child in something that's enjoyable, they automatically learn, don't they? So,
yeah, I think for adults too. I mean, I to this day will remember better if I'm hands-on. Right? Ooh, look at the dollhouse. I'm an adult playing in the dollhouse, but it was fun to learn. I go to museum websites and see different artifacts and then try to recreate them. Right? But you really remember them that way.
So, which is your favourite craft or recipe or game from the book? What's your personal favourite and why?
Because I'm greedy, I'm going to go with a recipe. My favorite would be, there's a recipe in there for the Yule birch log. And this one is so easy to do, but it's so tasty. It's a no bake. It's based on, there used to be, what are they called? The ice box recipes from the 1920s and 1930s, where you didn't have, you take the box of cookies and you layer it with whipped cream and then you cover it overnight in your fridge and it all softens. Then you slice it on an angle and it looks like a multi-layer cake. So this is what it's based on, but it's actually really easy to do. And so the recipe in this book uses gingerbread cookies. And I buy a box at IKEA. I think IKEA's around the world. They have the perfect size. So it's about round like this, nice and thin. And then in the whipped cream, I add in lime yogurt, and you can sweeten it but it's so good, the lime with the gingerbread.
Ooh.
And then you cover it in whipped cream and make it look like a birch log. So you don't have to deal with the rolling of a Yule log and cracking the...
Yes. Oh, that's, doing a Swiss roll. We call them a Swiss roll in British English. And making those in cookery lessons and just, trying not to crack it as you roll it. Oh, yeah, stressful.
Yeah.
That sounds much better.
Yeah, I try to avoid stress where I can, especially in the kitchen. So if there's a hack, that one's really tasty. I make that one all the time. And if I don't go to the trouble of making it look like a Yule log, we still eat it around.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Lime and ginger.
Yeah.
Do you incorporate any sort of Tudor Christmas traditions into your own Christmas at home?
We do, in a way, and I'm going to explain how I didn't even realize it was a Tudor tradition. The crackers that you pull at Christmas time, we do that. We've always done that. And then you put the really goofy tissue hat. So now when we do it, I just can't help but feel like I'm the Lord of Misrule, right? Putting it on. So that's kind of funny. And then something I don't think I made it very clear in the book, but there's a bunch of kind of wacky jokes in the book that are kind of silly and goofy. Those are actually meant to mimic in the crackers. When you open it up, you get the hat and you get the goofy joke. So those are meant to be like, you can share goofy Tudor jokes with your family at the table if you wanted to.
Yeah, they're always the worst jokes, the ones that you get in Christmas crackers. Terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. So I think hopefully I did it right. We don't really have a lot of Tudor history over here, unfortunately. So the closest I can get, we really like going to pioneer villages. So a couple 100 years old, but they do Christmas by lamplight and beautiful things like that. So you can walk through the village and it's all lit by candlelight. And there's always somebody making gingerbread in one of those old fashioned brick ovens and whatnot. It's quite a magical experience.
So if you could bring back one Tudor Christmas custom for today, what would it be? What would you like to see come back into people's Christmas?
12 days of Christmas.
Yes. Yeah.
12, 24, 36. You got to stop me because I'll keep going. I think it's too much of a buildup, and then we have 2 days, and everybody's exhausted, especially if you're the one that has to cook the turkey or whatever feast you're making. Oh my gosh, you spend most of Christmas in the kitchen, and then it's all over and done.
Yeah, and then before you know it, you're packing away the Christmas decorations and that. Yeah, I appreciate that in Spain here because, our big day really is Epiphany on the 6th of January, or the night of the 5th when the kings come. So nobody thinks about normal stuff until past then we have an elongated, Christmas, and I love that. It's definitely nice to hear. Other people, friends and family in the UK have packed everything away, going back to school and everything, and going back to normal. But I do love the whole Epiphany tradition here. Yeah, it is. It's such a lot of preparation, and then it's just all over and done with, and you're shattered.
It's a letdown.
It is. Now, I know that you've just finished your next book, In Praise of Tudor. So where's that in the publishing process?
So I just provided the edited copy back, so it's going into layout at the moment. So that's pretty exciting. I'm not sure how long that will take because there are some goofy drawings to incorporate. So it's hopefully it's not too much of a challenge.
So it's well on its way, though.
Well on its way, yes.
Now, so what's the why of this book? I mean, in your intro, you joke about modern life being too fast-paced, the doom scrolling, and you're sort of proposing 100 eccentric ideas to fuse then and now. So how can this book be used practically to help the stressed-out modern reader, do you think? What's your aim with it?
Well, my aim is to help people, first and foremost, slow down a little bit and read a book.
Yes.
Because there's been studies shown, too, that 6 minutes of reading, let me get this right, 6 minutes of reading reduces stress on average by 68% in the body. It can help regulate your heartbeat, whatnot. And laughter as well is excellent for health, so it's meant to be comedic. But I do say that in the beginning that it's fast-paced. Doom scrolling has been shown to increase cortisol, stress hormones, whatnot. But I find that everything really is fast-paced. We're living in a global world where you can send a message to someone across the world in seconds, right? But you can get it at any time. The world is speeding up. It's fast. But it also takes you out of your natural rhythm of just being human, right? So slowing down, taking some ideas from the past, it is comedic and definitely eccentric, but I think people might enjoy just having a fun book to read. Yeah.
So
slows you down.
Is it fair to call it a self-help book, or is it something else entirely? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as a satire on life, but maybe a parody on a self-help book. So the title is In Praise of Tudor, which is a play on In Praise of Folly by Erasmus. And so there's a few common links there. The way he praises folly, I kind of think this praises being eccentric, being different, being unique, but also obviously taking from Tudor history so people can learn in a fun, unique way. There's an overarching theme, I think, of what I call HI, so human intelligence as opposed to AI, and just making learning fun. If nothing else, I think people will get some really hopefully get random facts that they can bring out at very boring parties so they don't have to end up talking about the weather.
So what's the one takeaway that you think that people could take from this book?
I hope they take away some offbeat Tudor facts, first and foremost, and well, maybe first and foremost that I hope they get a laugh. I think people don't laugh enough. And I think the modern world is so serious and the news is so scary that I think laughing is underrated. So I really hope people just read it, know it's a silly, fun book. You can enjoy your Tudor history while having a laugh, which isn't always the case. Some of the stuff can be very dark. I've had anxiety before to the degree where I couldn't actually read history because I was so like postpartum anxiety, and I'd be like, that's somebody's baby. And I actually had to take a break. So this is a fun book. If you love history, you can read it, right? I don't think there's anything too alarming in it. So just fun.
That sounds like a perfect combination, Tudor history and fun.
I hope so.
I think so.
I hope I did it well.
So I wanted to ask you about sort of rituals and routine with your writing. I mean, you're obviously, busy with the kids and that as well. So what does a good writing day look like for you, sort of rituals? Do you have certain rituals? Do you give yourself a word count goal? Do you have a time of day that you write, or are you just grabbing minutes here and there?
Yeah, I describe it as organized chaos. So I write a lot on my phone, which drives my husband nuts. He's like, "How do you?" Well, you get used to it. So if we're at the park, sometimes I'll have Google Docs open and I'll be writing there, or I'll be writing at swimming lessons. The best time of day I found to write in general is at bedtime. Everybody else is asleep. There's something about it where you're falling asleep. You don't have to worry about anything. So it's almost like it turns off your mind for, the day-to-day tasks, and it really opens up my creativity big time. And I'll think of things like, wow, how did I come up with that? Maybe it's disturbing, but it's creative and different. So that's something I love to do. And I try to do it. If I do that every day, if I write a little bit or edit a little bit at night, even if it's only a few sentences before I fall asleep, then I'm at least making progress. For In Praise of Tudor, I had a funny way to do it to keep me on goal. My daughter had on her wall the 1 to 100 chart that they use for teaching kids their numbers. And I decided to print myself one, because there's 10 categories in 10 topics and 10 categories. So I wrote the categories down the side, and every time I did one, I would make an X so I could see my progression. I love to-do lists, but I very seldomly do them. But when I do, I find them very effective.
Oh, to motivate you. Yeah.
I need to have a goal of something. I'm not as rigid as, I can't do word goals. I don't know. I feel like I won't make them, and then I'll feel like a failure. So if I do a big goal, like I need to get the first draft of this done by XX date, then I feel like I have to keep up to that.
And are you the kind of person that ends up going down rabbit holes with your research, or are you disciplined? Do you know when I'm going to give myself this time to do sort of research, and then I'm going to move on to the writing? Do you know when to stop and when to actually write? No.
Yeah. Just call me Alice in Wonderland, because I live down rabbit hole. I think I'm happiest down there.
Oh, they're so fun. Tudor rabbit holes in particular.
It is. It's great. I'll have 47 tabs open, then I'll wonder why my phone's just not working. What's going on?
Oh, you're like me. I've just had to have a whole new computer because my computer could not cope with how many tabs I had open. I was saying to Tim, my computer's going grindingly slow. And he said, well, you do realise you've got this many windows open and this many tabs on each one of them.
Yeah, what do you mean? But I need all those because I may come back to 3 of them. But yeah, I found that. And then I have to ask myself at a point where I say, okay, is this something I need to know more about specifically so I feel confident in the information I'm putting out? Or is it a history mystery that hasn't been solved for 500 years and does not need to be solved by me today? And then if it's the latter, I kind of stop and I think, okay, I'm going to come back to that, and I'll create a little bookmark folder, and I'll think, okay, I'll come back to that if I want to explore that at a later date. But for the most part, if everybody is aware of this fact, let's keep going. If everybody's accepted it as fact, let's just keep going today so I can get to my deadline.
Now, you talk about how you use sort of Google Docs and that sort of on your phone and that, but is that how you work? Are you more digital than sort of notepads, notebook based? How do you keep track of things? Is it digitally?
I do a lot of digital work. I do a lot of scribbles too, though. My handwriting has become atrocious over the years. It used to be so nice. I don't know what happened to it. I just go to it, and I'll have, like, if you know the opening scene of Ghostbusters with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, the poltergeist that's stacking the books in big piles. That's kind of what my room will look like. You'll know I'm researching because it'll just be all over, and then there's Post-it notes completely all over all these pages with little funny scribbles for whatever category or whatever it is. Come back to it. I don't even really come back to them a whole lot. I feel like I need to make sure
organized chaos. It's an organization that you understand.
really is. Organize chaos and worry tomorrow. And then tomorrow, worry tomorrow. Just get it out.
Now, going back to In Praise of Tudor, let's think about modern swaps. Give us 3 Tudor-inspired swaps that a viewer perhaps of my channel could try this week, for work, for rest, for connection. What could they do to kind of take a leaf out of the Tudors book?
Okay. So I'm going to give you one that really works for me. Maybe it's because some days I have the mentality of a 12-year-old, but I do not like to make my bed. It's maybe it's laziness, but ever since I read this in 1588, it was written on Treatise of Ghosts. And ever since I've read this, I make my bed. So I'll share it. It says, if you do not make your bed, you're opening, it's basically an open invitation for an incubus to come and visit you in the night. So,
wow.
It depends how lonely you are, I guess, but I'm not really welcoming that to come and visit me at night. So even though it's just at the back of my brain, I don't have to really believe it, but makes me make my bed because I'll think about that and I'll think, oh, okay, well, at least if I thought about it, it doesn't seem like such a bad task. It takes me literally like 30 seconds, so I can do it. So that's something. I don't know if you know what incubus is, but
not good.
Not good. Kind of like a peeping Tom of a ghost. It does more than just peep. So yeah, make your bed.
That's one.
That's one. Another one is, I would say, well, for people like me who are very struggle at presentations, as you can see, something you could do is remember that the Tudors who were being executed had to put on almost a little bit of a performance to die well. And so something I can think of, and other people who don't like presenting can remember, that at least you're not heading to your eternal salvation. It is just a moment in time and it's okay. You can get through it instead of picturing people in your underwear, because that's never worked for me. For nerve-wracking, I don't even understand it. So I think you're better off to just consider at least you're not being brutally executed. It's not bloody, awful Tudor executions. It's just a presentation. And now it seems lighter. Hey, I'm actually relaxed to myself saying that. Okay.
And number 3.
Let's go with, I have the least eccentric section of the book is on queenly role models, but I really wanted to include it. But I think, okay, so maybe for people like us, maybe it's not so eccentric to take advice or life lessons from queens who passed away about 500 years ago, but to a lot of people it is. So it fits, it works. Because I'm talking to you, let's do Anne Boleyn. And I say in the book that perhaps she was a little bit less voulez-vous coucher avec moi and a little bit more je ne sais quoi. And my joke is my favorite sentence is je ne comprends pas, because I'm not very good at French. But she was always very much her authentic self. And I think sometimes to her detriment, but she was unapologetically herself for the most part, I think. So I think it's very important to be yourself, and everybody has unique skill sets and attributes. And I think you could take a moment and realize, are you repressing them or expressing them? And if you're not expressing them, maybe you could try to do that, because everybody brings something new to the party, something different, something inspiring, and you don't have to fit in. You really don't. Sometimes when you're yourself, you attract all the people who should be attracted with you, right? Better friends, better aligned, whatnot. So express, don't repress.
I like it.
Thank you.
And what about a Tudor habit as an antidote, the best antidote to modern burnout? Because so many people are suffering burnout today. You said about how our world is just so fast now. It's becoming such a problem. Is there a Tudor antidote to this?
There is, and it's my favorite one. Laughter is the best medicine. And I tracked that down to, okay, so first of all, there's the Tudor era Dr. Andrew Board, also who was nicknamed Merry Andrew because he believed laughter is the best medicine. Maybe he thought that because a lot of the medicines were poisonous, but I think it's I think it's also important. Laughter really does make you feel better. It relaxes you. It's good for your immune system. And also the King James Bible, 1611, had the proverb. I wrote it down because unfortunately, I'm not religious enough to memorize them, but a merry heart doth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. And that's Proverbs 17:22. And I do think laughter really helps. And I think laughing is great, which is one of my reasons I wrote this book, to be honest, because laughter isn't just for children, which is something I sadly came across, that a lot of people think that. And I can't believe it, because I laugh now, and I'm going to be laughing hopefully till I'm in my 90s.
Yeah, it's so important, having fun and having a sense of humor about things. Yeah, very important.
Find the fun, honestly, because otherwise you'd just be crying all the time. I think sometimes you can make light of something. Try to.
What about thinking about hosting, entertaining, a hosting idea that actually works in our modern small spaces rather than in grand palaces?
Yeah. So there's one, I titled it Location, Location, Location. But, when you watch Tudor movies and TV shows, they're always feasting in the grand halls and the great halls. But a lot of times the monarchy, they chose to dine in private, right? So in their own private quarters. So my solution to this, the eccentric solution, was to perhaps have a dinner party somewhere different, so you're not bored. So you could have one and actually it works for bachelor apartments too, in places where they are naturally smaller. But even if you don't and you have a place, this is why I say this joke is a satire, or the book is a satire parody, because it's not. Okay, well, you could dine in your bedroom, have a dinner party. Everybody will be talking about it for ages. Or maybe a quiet dinner for two in your walk-in closet. And before you say this sounds too weird, I'm going to share why this popped into my head in the first place. My first home was a real fixer-upper. And when I was taking out, I did a lot of DIY in that house. And when we were pulling out the carpets in the closets, there were wine stains all through the closet. Not blood stains, thankfully, wine stains. I couldn't figure out why someone would have wine in the party. And then all these years later, I was writing this and I thought, maybe they were having an intimate dinner for two in there.
Wow. Picnic in the closet.
Buddy, we'll talk about your dinner party. There was also spaghetti sauce on the walls of the house I'm in now, actually the room I'm in now. When I was painting the walls, there was spaghetti sauce when I moved in, and I still to this day have no idea why. I don't know.
Someone threw a plate of spaghetti at someone. They got violent.
Very creative. Very creative dinner that night.
And what about health and hygiene? Is there any Tudor practice with regards to health and hygiene that actually survives modern scrutiny, that's not going to kill us? And then actually one that would kill us, one that we should definitely avoid?
Yes. So I'm going to go with rosemary for this one, because the Tudors believed that rosemary was good for keeping your wits sharp about you. And in Shakespeare's Hamlet, there's rosemaries for remembrance, this sort of thing. There is also it was made famous later. It's from, I think, a 19th century novel. But a lot of people accept it as fact. The Thomas More quote, a lot of gardeners use it, that he had rosemary growing all over his garden walls. Sorry. I just completely lost my train of thought there. Because I was thinking that there's also a Tudor use for rosemary that's just odd, which is to keep adders out of your home. So sorry, my brain went there.
No, you're okay.
See, organized chaos.
You need rosemary for remembrance.
You know what? Maybe I do. I've got a bit of a head cold right now, so I'm just gonna go put some in my garden if that cures me. Um, um,
But do you think
so
we can use rosemary in our modern age to kind of help us?
I do. So that's what I was going to say. Thank you. There's been links now. Modern science is starting to put links together, the prevention of Alzheimer's disease with rosemary. So I think that's interesting. I always love when they find a modern, like, scientific explanation for something that people have been practicing for centuries. It just kind of reaffirms that they somehow know what they were doing. So I think that's interesting. And then something we definitely want to avoid is making your own made up cure-alls based on no expertise whatsoever, like Henry VIII.
Yes.
Elizabeth I also just mash it up together. What looks good in the garden, and here, you want to take it on a spoon? Oh, thank you.
No.
That's not give it to the experts.
No, I like the rosemary idea because rosemary is just lovely anyway. The smell of rosemary, and that is, yeah. No, I like that idea. Yeah.
Keep the atoms away. Put it at your door.
Yeah. And
also,
if it stops Alzheimer's and that, then that's a bonus.
Well, I think they use a lot of natural stuff to then in the labs to get a concentrated version of different things. So I'm not sure. I don't have more information about that, but I do find it interesting how they do develop a lot of medications from these things.
Yeah. I think a lot of things are coming back. I mean, we've, they used honey as well to kind of treat wounds and that. And our dog's just had an operation on her ear, and we were told to apply honey to the wound by the vet because it's antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial. It's great for healing wounds. So I just love that rather than putting on some chemical or, I love the fact that it's natural. So, it's good that these things are coming back.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
So, in 3 words only, describe a Tudor Christmas.
Go with opulent, pious, and spirited. Spirited because 3 meanings there.
Yes.
Spirited because it's a party, kind of wild. Also, they were allowed to drink, and spirited because they used to tell ghost stories.
Yes.
I think that covers it.
Yeah, I think so. And if you could time travel back into the Tudor period, something that we'd all like to do as long as we could definitely get back, where are you going and what are you eating first?
Okay, I've thought way too much about this. And I had a difficult time settling, but I think I'm going to go with for 24 hours to be there on Christmas. I'd like to see the Tudor court at Christmas. I'd also like to see inside a merchant's house, a farmer's house. I'd like to see the different aspects of just Christmas playing out to really get a feel for it because, obviously it's a topic near and dear to my heart, but that would be really interesting. And I know what I wouldn't be eating when I'm there. Definitely steer clear of the peacock. I'd want to try their strawberries, which may sound strange.
Well, no, because I think a lot of modern strawberries, they haven't got much taste. They're quite watery.
Sometimes they are. I just had some of the best strawberries I've ever had, though. They came from Quebec. They were delicious. But I'm getting...
So why a Tudor strawberry then?
Okay, so I started to do some digging when I was doing here to talk about rabbit holes. I started going down the rabbit hole on strawberries because there's a strawberry tart recipe in Twas. And I was finding that one of the first associations of strawberries and cream was with Cardinal Thomas Wolsey's chef creating it. So, but then I wanted to see, they was talking about the different strawberries and how the plants change over time. So there's it's called Dundurn Castle by me. And it's not really a castle because we don't unfortunately have castles here. But it's a house. It's a house so large that the people living around it used to call it a castle because it looked like a castle to them. And so the name has just stuck. but they do a plant sale every year, and they try to they grow all kinds of heritage plants in their garden. So I bought alpine strawberries there, which are about 200-year-old breed of strawberries, or older. The house is from about 200 years. So anyways, I plant them in my garden, and they're little teeny tiny strawberries about that big, and they're very tart flavored. So I'd be really curious. I'm on this strawberry obsession now. So modern strawberries, these 200, maybe I do want to try the Tudor strawberry and see what it was like.
Yeah, we've got some. We did have some alpine strawberries in pots in our garden as well. They're just so tiny, aren't they?
They're really tiny. Yeah. So imagine making a tart out of that. You'd have to really be cutting up a lot.
Mm. And talking about Christmas, your book. Now, this doesn't have to be Tudor historic in any way, but what's your favourite Christmas carol?
I love a lot of them. So I'm going to go with Brenda Lee's "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree."
So you go non-traditional then.
Non-traditional, yeah. I can't hear that and not just kind of start to
start boogieing.
But I like "Ding Dong Merrily on High" is like more classical one, classic one, and "Here We Come a Wassailin'" is pretty fun too. Yeah.
You can't help but boogie along to that, can you? Yeah.
"Here We Come a Wassailin" is really good for if you're out walking, especially around the pioneer villages, and it's kind of cool. And here, and your kids will go. Well, my kids will go. Shh, someone's gonna hear you.
How to embarrass the rest of the family.
I'll be quiet.
What's next for you after In Praise of Tudor is out in the world? Are you going to go back and work on that Anne Boleyn book, or what's next, do you think?
Not that one. That one's really, really old. I'd say that one is about 15 years old. But I did find all the notes because we're in the process of moving right now, and I came across them. So I did have fun rereading them. But no, I've been working on another Anne Boleyn novel since about 2021. And I know, I'm so impatient. And so the fact that I've been working on it that long is really shocking to me. But I'm a perfectionist with that because Anne is just so, she's so important. She's such an important figure, and I want to do her right. And one of the things I really hope to bring to this is her sense of humor, like wit, to have that wit really shine on the paper. And I think with my comedic writing background, and hopefully I can really highlight that. And I don't know, I've had a really interesting way. So, 20 thoughts at once. I was saying before about being Canadian, and I connect to the people of the past. A lot of times it has to be emotional. So I've written this book in a very interesting way where I wrote it all out of order. So I love to make work for myself, apparently. It's all out of order, but I wrote the scenes depending on what I was experiencing in my day-to-day. So if I was having a really great day and I'm laughing and I'm on fire, I'm like stand-up comedian mode, I would write one of those witty scenes of hers and really kind of bring that feeling into the scene. And if I was having a really lookout day, I'd write a fiery kind of scene, so, or if I was really upset about something, really devastated, it's like, okay, we're writing that scene, right? And get it out. And I think hopefully I can really bring her alive off the pages that way and really humanize Anne. So she's not just a caricature, right? Really bring those human emotions out, because I think that is what connects us through time, location, whatnot, is the humanity.
So is it going to be a retelling of her story? Is it an alternative look at her story? What kind of novel is it?
Let's just say I also listened to a lot of near-death experiences when I was researching this. A lot of synchronicities. It's kind of like, it's a philosophical take, one way to put it. I don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
Very different, but it's kind of like her journey her journey to find her true self and get back to where she, how do I say this? Okay, well, it's her journey in the afterlife, essentially. But it's kind of based on my experience with the Tudor dollhouse, that everybody's trapped in one cottage, right? So like I had Henry VIII and all the wives, so that's what sparked the idea, except it's not a comedy, and it's very challenging. Everybody starts off as the worst possible versions of themselves until they can learn to go through and kind of strip away everything that humanity throws at us and find the true, authentic, divine version within themselves. Sounds
intriguing. This sounds good.
It's been very confusing to write. So I get very deep in my thoughts. So my aim is that I will deal with all the confusion so that when the reader reads it, it'll just flow and it'll make a lot of sense. Very different. Surprise, surprise.
Well, you need to keep us updated on this, because obviously Anne is a subject very close to my heart. So you definitely need to keep me updated. So it sounds exciting. I
hope so. I hope I like I say, they all start as the worst versions of themselves. So hopefully people don't just stop reading and think, what's she doing to these people? But I think they're all damaged at this point in time, and they have to find their true selves, because it makes sense when you read it. There's a lot of symbolism and a lot of heart that goes into it.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, for joining me today. I mean, your book, Twas the Night Before Tudor Christmas, yours and Kathryn's book, is just such a lovely book. I love the fact that it looks pretty as well, just to have on your coffee table, even if you can't be bothered to do any of the activities in it. It's just such a lovely book with the story and the beautiful illustrations and photos and that. And then I'm really excited about In Praise of Tudor as well, because, like you, I do think that we've lost such a lot in our modern world. We think we've got so much, but we've lost so much too, because it's just, our mental health is suffering, I think. And if we can take some lessons from the Tudors, then I think that's really valuable. So congratulations on that. And I will keep my followers up to date on the progress with that book and let them know when that comes out. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope people do find it funny. It's a fine line to walk with comedy, but
yeah, I'm sure they will. So thank you very much for being so giving of your time today and spending it with us.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.